Welcome to the Licensed to Live show, where professionals, doctors, champions, VIPs, attorneys, and those in public office discover strategies that help you restart and gain what is lost when you find yourself accused. If another has doubted your integrity, questioned your credentials, or caused your actions to come under scrutiny, you are in the right place. On the other hand, if you have never felt the knot in the pit of your stomach when legal papers are served, the heartbreak of disappointing your family when the lock clicks shut on handcuffs, or had to appear before a board of review, then be aware, the longer you serve, the more likely you are to find yourself under the microscope of those who judge. Prepare yourself for this uncomfortable possibility. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jarrett Patton.
Welcome to this episode of License to Live. My name is Dr. Jarrett Patton, and I'm your host for our journey together today and every day you choose to listen to the show. If you or anyone you know has been dissed in their career, please invite them to join us along this journey. Just go to your favorite podcast player and hit subscribe. And when you're there, hey, give us a shout. Let us know what you want to learn. Let us know what you want to hear, and rate us so that we make sure that we're bringing you the most up-to-date information about career and life changes. Now, today, I am so excited to be bringing a guest on our show today who has really been through quite a wide range of career experiences that all began in healthcare. And as you listen to this story, you are going to get some inspiration on how these same principles apply to your life and your own career. So listen carefully, because we will be having on our show Nurse Alison Gorman. She has had a distinguished career as a Navy service member. She has had a distinguished career as a news journalist, and she is now a startup founder and entrepreneur of the TruFaves app. And I can't wait to talk about all of that with you in the show. So hang on to this show and buckle up your seatbelt, because we have a lot of things to go through today that are sure to change your life. And we'll get started with that right after we finish thanking our sponsors.
Hey, this is Dr. Jarrett Patton. Do you need more positivity in your life? No matter what part of your life you want to transform, positive affirmations can help you achieve your goals. But sometimes making permanent changes can be difficult. Designed with you in mind, License to Live. Daily affirmations to rebuild your life will inspire and equip you to become the best version of yourself. License to Live. Daily affirmations to rebuild your life will set you on the path to changing your mindset, beliefs, speech, and ultimately your actions. You can change your life now by getting your copy at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your finer book retails, or licensedtolive.com. That's licensedtolive.com.
Smells good. EH3 coffee. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. Nothing better than waking up. EH3 in your cup. Premium organic. EH3 coffee. Nothing better than in the middle of your day. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. EH3 coffee.
This is Super Bowl champion Mike Logan, and you are listening to License to Live.
Welcome to License to Live, Allie. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Well, I always love having people from different professions come on the show. And we've had a couple nurses on License to Live before, and I think you are our third nurse that is coming on, because I always hear from nurses that are changing their career path. They're looking at something different in their life, and they're starting something new, and you're doing all of those things. So I love your story and how you got started in health. I just want to know a little bit about your interest and what drew you into the healthcare field in general.
Yeah, I think, when you look back of you're like 17, 18 years old when you're applying to colleges and trying to choose your major. And I just know at that time, I loved science. I loved my high school biology, chemistry. I even liked organic chemistry, anatomy. I was good at it too. And I had a high school teacher who kind of had said, maybe you should look at some of these, healthcare professions. And it just felt right. I also do like helping people. So combining that with the science is what drew me into it in the first place.
Well, that's awesome. And some of the fire starters out there, they know that I didn't always aspire to be a physician. I didn't even want to be a physician. I wanted to be a truck driver, and I would ride my bike around my neighborhood all this time, looking at these big rigs rolling by, knowing that I wanted to drive a truck for my life. And well, there's a point in my life I almost got my CDL so I could drive those trucks, but it still didn't end up working out. And that's why we're here today having this podcast episode. So I love that. So one of the things that I know that you had an interest early on too is ROTC, and that led you into a service career.
Yeah, so I went to Georgetown University undergrad on a Navy ROTC scholarship. So as soon as I graduated from college, I was commissioned into the Navy as a nurse corps officer. So then I spent 4 years serving in the Navy, just, as a Navy nurse. And it was really ROTC. It wasn't, I think I was touring Georgetown and I got a pamphlet from somebody with the ROTC program, and my dad was in the Navy. So he looks at the flyer and he's like, oh, wow, look at this, and it's, obviously it'll be a big savings for him as well. And then, when you apply, I talked to this woman who I think she was a lieutenant commander. And I mean, she had this amazing career. She served overseas in Italy and Japan. And then she was on Air Force One, like as a nurse to the president. So, you're 18 years old and you're hearing this and you're like, wow.
Like, this is amazing. I got to do something like this.
My Navy experience was not like that, but it was good, but I wasn't on Air Force One.
Well, thank you for your service, because at every level, we need people to take care of us and help defend us as we're going forward. And even your years in the Navy, you learn a lot of things, particularly when you contrasted that with civilian medicine when you left the Navy.
Yeah, it's very different. I enjoyed my time in the military, but I was already looking for something different. I knew I didn't want to be a floor nurse for the rest of my life. I knew I wanted to do a career change. So I only did 1 more year as a civilian in civilian medicine as a nurse. And it's very different. I can say, like, I missed working with the corpsmen, like the corpsmen in the Navy. It's a different camaraderie when you're working in military medicine, I think.
Well, yeah, I think there's a certain amount of order in military medicine, and sometimes there's a disorder in the civilian system because it is so different. So I like the fact that you were able to contrast both sides of your nursing career that way, but you still decided that this wasn't for you and you wanted to go for something else.
I knew that I wanted some sort of, I still wanted to do healthcare, but I wanted some sort of creative outlet. So it was a very simple conversation with my mom that led me into broadcast journalism. I was home visiting and we're about to go shopping, and there was a TV news report, a health spot. And I was like, oh, hold on, I want to watch this. So we watched this report, and then we get in the car, and I was like, just kind of like, oh, I'd love to do that. And she was like, do what? I'm like, do like the health reports on TV. And my mom had known that I was looking for something different when I, was to get out of the Navy. And she was like, well, why don't you? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And my mom worked at Rutgers at the time. And the next day she took her lunch break and went over to the library. And she came home that night with, 4 different pamphlets. And one of the pamphlets was for Northwestern's Medill School of Journalism. And I was living in Chicago at the time. So, you ever read something and it just feels right? I looked at this pamphlet and I was like, I feel like this is a good fit for me.
Wow. So I know sometimes when people, particularly health professionals, when they go into the media, the news media, it's something they may learn on the job, or they kind of, learn as they go along and figure a way how to do it. But you said you were going to take a completely different approach, and you went back to school.
I did. It was a different time, though. This was 2004. So I don't know. I guess YouTube, I don't know if YouTube was around or not. People today, yeah, you can go and, do your own podcast. You can go on YouTube. You can, pitch yourself to different news reporters. Back in 2004, the way to get, TV experience, you had to have some sort of journalism training. So yeah, I did a 1-year master's program in journalism and then applied to TV news stations.
And you make it sound so simple, wasn't it?
I got very lucky. I will say the program that I went to, Medill, it was the way that I learned. It was the first quarter was, just learning the principles of journalism. But that next quarter was they give you a camera, they give you editing equipment, they give you your story, and they're like, okay, here's your deadline. Figure it out. No one made their deadline that first day. I think I was late by like 3 hours. But that hands-on learning is kind of where it just fits my style of learning. Yeah. And then I got lucky. So that was a 1-year program. It's hard. I mean, you're learning something brand new. No, being on TV did not come natural to me at all. But I got very lucky in that right before I was graduating, there was a station in Lansing, Michigan, and the news director was looking for someone who could do the health reporting. And I think he knew my professors and he saw my resume. And so I ended up getting that first on-air job before I had even graduated from grad school. I got very lucky, though, because it is very hard to find your first on-air job.
And that's pretty awesome because getting into the media and you guys know I dibble and dabble in there from time to time, but never did any kind of formal training. And it's not very easy. It's not very intuitive. Even, if you feel like you're used to just talking to people all day in your day-to-day job as a doctor or a nurse, or anytime you're just talking with people. And for you, you're like, all right, I have a change of plan. I think this would be something pretty cool, something that I could do. And now I'm just going to get some additional training, reinvest in myself after you've already invested in your nursing career, and said, let me get some additional skills to move forward with something I think I like even better. And next thing you know, you're doing health reports on TV, just a few years after you and your mother were looking at this and said, hey, this is something I might want to do. So you put your mind to it and made it become a reality.
Yes, I was very focused on it. It was like people talk about like manifesting stuff. I had a very clear vision for what I wanted to do with my journalism career. Wow.
And that's awesome. And you spent a number of years doing broadcast journalism. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I was in Lansing for about 1.5 years. And then I went to a medium-sized market, Jacksonville, Florida, for a little over 2 years. And then as that contract was ending, I saw the job in Philadelphia. And this is, my home. I grew up in South Jersey. So this was actually the station I grew up watching. And I saw the posting for, they were looking for a new health reporter. So it was kind of like the stars aligned. I will be honest, they were looking for someone with more experience. But I credit the news director a lot because she took a chance on me. And she told me, she was like, you don't have exactly, everything. You're not checking every box of what they're looking for. She's like, but I know you're going to get there. So I give her a lot of credit for taking me on.
That's awesome. And for people listening, they're thinking, wow, all right, I'm going to change my mind because I'm not exactly happy in the career path I chose, but I think this will add a little more satisfaction. I learn, I train, I come back and reinvent myself to do something that I do like even more. And you've caught a couple of breaks along the way to get you into some of these positions. So people are looking at you, Allie, and they're just saying, well, geez, this is so easy. You know what? I'm going to turn around. I'm going to change my mind and I'm going to do something right now. But we need to know, have you ever been dissed in your career?
Yeah. And I should say it wasn't that easy. I think I got very lucky with that first on-air job. But that was hard. I mean, it was all of a sudden the learning curve, your first 2 years of journalism is very steep. All of a sudden you have daily reports And when you're in a small market, I wasn't shooting, but I was editing. I mean, you're setting up your own live shots. I would be running to go do a live shot, putting lipstick on, like, on the way out to the camera, like totally nervous, trying to figure out what I was going to say, but, setting up my own, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then, even the job, Jacksonville, and even before I got the job in Philadelphia, I had probably sent out, dozens, if not hundreds of resume tapes that I did not hear anything back from. So I make it sound easy, but maybe looking back, no, it wasn't. So have I been dissed? I did have, I think everybody gets some negative feedback along the way, especially if you're a new reporter. And I did have one manager along the way, someone that could kind of help with my career, tell me I would never make it in this business. And he said, because of my voice, he didn't like my voice. And I was already very self-conscious of my voice. I'd been doing, voice training and stuff. That's something that doesn't come natural to me. And it definitely like shook me. And I remember, I told my sister has the exact same voice as me, like the exact same. And I remember telling her, and she was like, well, I take this very offensively.
So wait, are you talking about me? Are you talking about me?
But I also had, I kept in touch with some of the professors that I had in grad school, and I had, relayed this to one of them. And he said, he's like, you know what? He was like, your voice. He's like, anytime I hear it, he was like, I know that's you reporting. He's like, anytime we would just put it on. And he was like, yeah, maybe, you're not his cup of tea. He was like, but he was like, it's distinctive. So he's like, just take it as that. And I was like, okay. And he's like, that's one person. That's one person. So yeah, you just kind of have to, it'll shake you when you have somebody say something like that. But I think if you truly want something, then, I did a lot. I took that as feedback, and I went and I got some vocal training, and you just kind of do the best you can with what you have.
And you kept moving forward. You know what? Because there are going to be some naysayers. There are going to be some people along the way that don't believe in what you are doing. And you can't let them detract from your mission. And I think that taking that feedback, okay, perhaps it's valid. Well, let me work on the things that I can work on. And you took some time to do that. And you said, well, I'm not going to let this derail me or sidetrack me at all. And you make it to one of the largest media markets in the country. And so give us a little insight on what does it take to put on this type of production? Because sometimes people may look at it and they see a 3-minute segment and say, okay, well, oh man, she must only be working like 30 minutes a day.
People ask me, like, what do you do with the rest of your day? Even to do a 2-minute report, it's an all-day affair. And normally you have at least two reports during the day, but it is getting your story, doing all the research, frantically making all the calls. And you've been on this side of this where a reporter is like, I need to do the interview like now if I'm going to make my deadline. So it's setting all that up and then, logging the interviews, writing the piece, sitting with the editor, going over it with the producer, getting it checked by the executive producer, and then getting ready to do your live report. What people see on TV, there's really a lot of kind of background work that goes into that, as there should be, because you want to make sure that it is accurate information. Right,
because you're trying to help people take better care of themselves in some sort of way. And then all of a sudden, COVID comes along.
Yes. Yeah. This was, before the pandemic, I was already kind of feeling like I wanted to make some sort of change. And then the pandemic happened. And I'll be honest, as horrible as the pandemic is, I love public health reporting. I find it fascinating. And I was able to interview, some of the brightest minds, some people doing really innovative research on this brand new virus. I did. I found it fascinating, and I liked doing the work. However, 2 years in, and I'm doing more reports per day than I've ever done in my life, really with, fewer resources. And I was burned out. After 2 years of pandemic reporting, I found myself burned out.
And what were you feeling at that time? Was there anything specific you can put your finger on?
one, I had already started my startup. It was a side project before the pandemic had started. And it was just a side project. As you know, I had to put it on the back burner because my schedule was so crazy during the pandemic, but then probably like a year into it, like things started to come up. I started to get calls from startup studios, and I started, working more with the developers, and I had a lot more going on with the startup. Couple that with, I was burned out. And what, viewers also didn't know, because you have to kind of keep this private during the time, but I had just become a foster parent. And I had a baby. I had a little baby at the time. And when the pandemic hit, he was only 7 months old.
Wow.
So, and then, daycares are shutting down, and I'm still working full time. Babysitters are exposed or getting sick. It was a constant juggling act. I've since adopted him, I should say. I got to adopt him shortly after his second birthday. But all this is happening. I'm burned out. And then, any parent can tell this feeling. I would get home at night, and I kind of knew he needed me around more than I could be around when I was doing that news job. I needed to be home more often than I could be with that schedule. And it kind of broke my heart, because I would get home and, a babysitter had picked him up from his daycare and he was exhausted. I basically put him in the tub and put him to bed, and it just didn't sit well with me. So I knew I had to make a change for several reasons. And it was like, all of them coming together at once.
And that's a great lesson for anybody to hear and anybody to learn, Allie, because you start to listen to these signs and symptoms of your body, maybe your life, maybe some external forces saying that this is no longer feels right. So something that felt right. And as you even said, you were really enjoying all this public health reporting, and there was a number of other things, but life sometimes sneaks in there, and then things don't work out the way we had intended it to. And I am truly, truly interested in this startup you're talking about, and we're going to talk about that right after this break.
The time is now to refresh your career. We help doctors, lawyers, executives, and VIPs refresh and restart. Dr. Jarrett's coaching helps you build confidence, gain more credibility, develop more leadership skills, and gain clarity in your career path. Want to climb the executive ladder or branch out on your own? We'll put your career in overdrive. Visit drjarrett.com and sign up for your free strategy session.
Now you've had a great career in broadcast journalism. You're on the air several times a day. And now you have a new baby in your life that you're also taking care of and love and are providing all of this attention to. And you're like, this isn't working out for me. So you had mentioned before that you were working on a startup kind of on the side. Well, tell us about this startup. How did it develop? And then we'll talk about how it went from the side to the main.
Yeah, it's so it was it was about 4 years ago at this point. And it was kind of a simple thing, a simple problem that me and my friends saw and wanted to come up with a solution for. So we were out in New York City, a bunch of, me and my girlfriends, and doing what women do so often, which is swap recommendations. So one person is raving about this new fitness class. Another is telling us about a book that changed her whole way of thinking. I was getting ready to run a race in Nashville, so I was asking for restaurant recommendations. And so it just kind of dawned on us how many times we're doing this. The next morning when we went to leave, we all took out a notepad and we're like, wait, what was the fitness class? And then which teacher do you like? Because we didn't really have a way to hold on to the information. And then, weeks go by and we're still texting and, messaging about, wait, what was that book again? And, has anybody been there? And still reaching out for these recommendations. So at first we decided we created this app for ourselves, for us and our friends, so that we can share the things that we love and then quickly ask for recommendations so we don't have to keep bothering each other. And then we're talking to, friends, significant others at the time, and they're like, do you know how much it costs to create an app? And we're like, no. So once we start kind of looking into it, and they're like, well, why don't you see if you can come up with a business plan and a way to monetize it so that you can do it not just for you, but for other people that do this as well. So it opened up this whole new way of thinking, and we really went down a rabbit hole. All of a sudden, we're like, okay, let's see if this works, and we're start screenshotting every time someone asks you for a recommendation. Start screenshotting every time you're asking somebody, or if you're raving about something. And so we did this for a couple of months, and we're like, wow, people are doing this all the time. They're not trusting, what's online, these anonymous, review sites or these influencers. Like when you want something you can rely on, you're going to your friends. So long story short is that is where the idea started. And then we put in a lot of research, a lot of talking to people, really some soul searching, because launching a startup it's difficult. But once we were able to validate the idea and then, do a beta test, and we got into an accelerator, things just started to kind of move in the direction that I had hoped that they would.
Allie, did you have a background in tech? Have you always been a techie kind of person to just say, okay, I think I want to develop an app?
No, I'm not a technical person. So I am a non-tech founder. I saw this. I do love technology, but I don't have the background in it. I saw this as a problem, and I saw this as something that people are doing all the time, but there's, swapping the information is time consuming, it's cumbersome. And I saw it as an opportunity where tech could make it better. So the accelerator, it's a tech ecosystem, they call themselves, Project 10K. I pitched to them and I got into their program. They are known they help non-tech tech founders. The creator of this accelerator is a non-tech tech founder and entrepreneur who has a successful business, and he saw the obstacles that he faced. So now he helps other non-tech tech founders. It's been fun, though. I've learned a lot. I will say that.
Well, obviously, because this has taken your career on a whole new trajectory, because now you're dealing with the TruFaves app, and now is this what you were doing with your time now? Because you're no longer on the TV several times a day like I used to see you.
Yes, yeah. So my focus is TruFaves and trying to grow traction. We had a really great launch. We launched and then had 1,000 users pretty quickly within 1 month of launch. Right now, we do need more funding. So I am out kind of pitching to different angel investors. So I get to use a little bit of my TV skills, although it's in person. So I do find that is helpful. So I've been pitching, trying to get more funding. And then we have an ambassador program. So anybody who loves this idea and wants to get involved, I'm meeting with them and getting them kind of on board. So that is what I've been doing. That is my focus. Now, I'll be honest, we're not making any money off of this yet. So I'm still doing some freelance gigs. I'm actually doing some per diem nursing just to make some money on the side. But I will say, the schedule it's better for me with my son right now than what I was doing, full time as a TV reporter.
Fire starters, you have to listen to this. Now, did you hear what she just said? I just want to stop here because this is important. And she has started a new business, started a new app. And she said, well, there's no money coming in here and life must go on. There's still bills to pay. I have my son to feed. There's all these things that I have going on. But I'm going to still use the skills that I've learned to this day, which may mean I'm going to be a nurse for a day or two a week, which may mean, hey, I am pretty good in front of the camera. I'm pretty good in front of real life people. I can use those skills to help engage people and gain interest in our app. And so it's not about a total reinvention. It's really about using your life experiences, your work experiences, and rolling them up to keep using those skills that you have in order to do the next level that you want. So you hear her saying that my life is better now. My life is better, and we are working on these things specifically. So, well, where can people get the TruFaves app?
So it is available for download on iPhone or Android. It's TruFaves, TruFaves. I'd love for your listeners to log on, create a profile, and then invite some friends. The only thing is, in order for this to work, if you're asking for a recommendation from your most trusted sources, you have to have your trusted sources on the app as well.
So sounds like we need to go get to TruFaves. We need to get our friends on and then start getting some recommendations. I think it's a wonderful tool that people can use in order to get those recommendations from other trusted people, because at the end of the day, we don't all have time to do research and go down and do all this first level research. We just want to hear if somebody else had a good experience and why they love what they love. And I think this is a great way to do it. So folks, make sure you check out the TruFaves app, download it. I have links in the show notes in case you can't find it in your favorite store, but we'll make sure we have the direct links right in the show notes, because this is something that Allie is doing that will help all of us save some time in our life.
Yeah, and I think about it, I always rely on friends when I'm looking for something, if especially if it's like a health service, if you have, a child, you're not going to just go to any pediatrician. You're not going to look on Yelp for a pediatrician. You are going to ask someone who actually goes to that pediatrician's office so that you can get a recommendation that you can rely on. And then even, there's some people that absolutely, I love to rave about different fitness programs. Like I will walk out of a fitness class and if I love it, I'll be posting it on my TruFaves like right away. Like, hey, you guys have to try this. It was amazing.
I love it. And that's perfect because you know what? That's what it's about. It's about getting information to people. It's about making your life better at the end of the day. And you said from the very outset, it's about helping people. And if your desire is to help people in any way, whether you're in healthcare, whether you're in technology, whether you're in any kind of industry, it's going to work out. And if you come back to that central desire of wanting to help, which Allie has had throughout her whole career, it is something that will continue to make forward and take progress. And that's what I want you guys to understand today. Keep taking steps forward to get yourself into that position. Allie, where can people find out more about you?
I have a little bio on the TruFaves website. So that is TruFaves.com. And then like everybody else, I'm on social media. So I am on Twitter and Instagram. I think I still have a Facebook account as well. So people can find me. Twitter's kind of my go-to if you're looking to connect with me. But if you just if you want to check out the app and check out my bio, then TruFaves.com.
All right. We'll definitely check it out at TruFaves.com. Is there anything else you want to say to our audience today?
No, I just want to thank you for bringing me on and just for these the program that you do. It's inspirational. I think a lot of people go to podcasts because whether you're feeling stuck or you just, you feel like there's something else out there, but you need a little bit of inspiration. That's why I listen to podcasts. So I enjoy what you bring to the listeners. And I hope that my story helps somebody. And I hope that people will check out this new app as well.
Well, that is my hope. That is exactly why I brought you on, because I think you're a very interesting individual and you have done some incredible things in your life that many people don't even know how to begin to do. And you outlined all of that from changing your career early in life to starting up and becoming an entrepreneur and a tech founder, which is also incredible. I'm wishing you nothing but success moving forward. And folks, if you don't have the TruFaves app on your phone right now, then you need to get it.
Thanks, Dr. Jarrett.
Thanks so much, Allie. And remember, fire starters, if you or anyone you know is getting dissed in their career, make sure you check out License to Live. We are here for you in this show every single time. We want to highlight the good things people are doing out there, as well as helping you change your career and your life in a single, quick fashion that is going to make a difference moving forward. Don't ever forget forward. It's okay to look back sometimes, folks. But if you're looking to see where you're going, keep moving forward. You heard it today. You've heard it before. You're going to continue to hear it. And until then, I'll see you next time.
No matter how disheartening the moment of accusation sounds, how deep the pain of immobilization stabs, or how bleak your future looks, no one can take away your license to live. Keep Dr. Jarrett's expertise handy and unlock your future. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or another podcast player and subscribe right now to Licensed to Live. See you next time.